Robbie Lyle, the Don of football YouTube. With over 1.4 million subscribers and millions of followers online, not everyone is a fan, but it's hard not to respect the rise and success of Robbie's empire. The impact that he's had on online content creation, fan TV culture and mainstream media is outstanding. But I want to find out more about the man, the journey and the future.
See, Robbie?
It's wet outside, isn't it? Jesus.
Nice and wet day here in London. Yeah. Robbie, thanks for joining me.
No worries.
Where do we start then? I guess we're here in the AFTV studios.
Yeah. This actually wasn't the original studio when we moved to this particular area. The one next door was the original, but we recently have now expanded, and this is the new studio. And we're still kind of putting it together. But this set here is where we do a lot of on a match day, we'll do a lot of the live call-ins here.
It can look very different once the cameras are rolling, can't it?
Yeah.
Scene
Yeah.
But I want to take you back, Robbie, to the very start. Before all these studios, before all the fancy equipment, why AFTV? Why did you start what was known as Arsenal Fan TV back then?
Yeah, Arsenal Fan TV, and the whole reason why I started it is just, as a lifelong Arsenal fan, I was just like, you never hear anything from the fans, or if you do, it's never in film, on camera. And I wanted to create a platform where we could speak to fans, get fans' point of view on the football team in camera, in film. And obviously YouTube is a platform, universal platform, big platform where, it goes right around the world as well as the UK.
What year was this again when you started?
This is 2012, so it's nearly 10 years now.
Wow.
And I just thought, if I could do it on YouTube, I think it could be successful, especially speaking to fans. We was doing a bit of filming here earlier on, the Bias Premier League show.
One of many shows on the FTV.
One of many.
So, before we started doing all these different shows and all these different schedules and everything for different things, it started off with interviewing the fans. What gave you that idea and what made you switch lanes from the career path that you had? Because what was it you were doing before? Building surveyor?
I was working as a building surveyor, and I just had obviously I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan, and I just had the idea that I was like, I want to create a platform that just gives fans a chance to have their say, and in camera, on film, because I hadn't really seen anyone who'd done that before. And I was a bit frustrated with all the time, every time I see fans being interviewed on TV, it's either a certain type of fan, you don't really hear much from them. And then all these pundits and that, when they're giving their opinions on, the game, it's sometimes from a very biased point of view because they might know some of the players, or they might know people at the club, or it's these really dead press conferences and stuff like that.
Generic answers.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I want to hear, why can't we have a platform where we hear from the fans, these people that pay their money week in, week out to go and watch their football team, they're invested in their team, you know what it's like. Arsenal lose a game, my weekend's ruined, so let's hear from those fans. Let's hear from them when they're high. Let's hear from them when they're low. Let's hear from them, the real stories around the football team. So, that was what gave me the inspiration to start it. And just literally one day turned up at the Emirates Stadium with a microphone, borrowed camera, started interviewing fans and just took it from there.
So how have you dealt with that, the attention and it essentially becoming famous?
Yeah, it's actually more difficult to film now than it used to be back in the day because of the crowds, especially sometimes I go to some away games sometimes and so many people are desperate to meet you and want to see you and stuff like that. You create such a crowd that sometimes it's hard to get going. You need to 10, 15 minutes if we can start to speak to fans because it's a bit chaotic, But dealing with the fame side of it has been incredible, I mean, I don't think there's many places I can go where people don't recognize me. And even I go abroad, I get recognized everywhere because it's the thing is about having a big platform when it comes to social media, it's worldwide. So, I'll go to America, I'll go to Australia, all these places I've been to, I've been mobbed out there as well. So it's been crazy. So I don't know, I've just kind of taken it in my stride. I mean, because it's been, I guess it's been a gradual thing. So over the years, more and more people get to know you. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I've learned how to deal with it better. Whereas I guess when you're involved, sometimes you might have like a musician or something, like a recording artist who wasn't really known before, and then he makes a record and it blows up, and then overnight everybody wants you, everybody knows you. I think that'd be harder, but I think I've kind of, over the time, I've learned to deal with it. And I'm kind of like always like, I always make time for people, because I'm like, the people actually, in particular in what we do, again, with social media and the fact that it's shared stuff, those people are actually people that really do follow you, like watch your content. So it's very important, I feel, to make time to try and say hello or to take pictures and whatever they want, you know. So
because without them, you wouldn't.
Without them, it'd be zero.
And when you're filming outside the club, obviously the crowds are gathering outside the Emirates and stuff, and wherever you go, what's the relationship like with the club? Have Arsenal been in touch with you?
Yeah, the club's all right. You know, they allow us to film outside the ground. You know what I mean? We have a decent enough relationship with them. I wouldn't say we're tight with the club, because I'm kind of deliberately have a little distance, because I want to be able to allow fans to always be able to say what they'd like to say, you know, as long as it's respectfully done and it's done within reason, you know. But I don't want to have undue influence on a fan if he's, say, unhappy with, I don't know, the ownership of the club. I want him to be allowed to be able to say that on AFTV. Now, I know on Arsenal, if they were doing their own channel, they would never be able to do that, you know what I mean? You know? So, but I think our relationship with the club is good, you know what I mean? I see some of their officials when we go to games and go abroad and that, and yeah, it's no problems.
Not just with AFTV, but overall, nearly 10 years in the game now, what would you say has been the biggest highlight?
I think the biggest highlight for me has just been watching the growth of the channel. You know, I don't put it down to one thing, but watching the growth of the channel. And also, for me, I've loved the traveling, you know, which is something that I just took on my own back. Like, everything that I did on this was self-finance. Even to this day, I've never really taken a loan out to finance this. I was financing it at the time through my job and just putting the money back, and as we make money, put it back. And from very early on, I was like, I want to go. When Arsenal go on tour, I want to go. So I remember the first place I went was America. I went to New York. I was like, this is brilliant, and meeting all the fans out there and that. And then over the years now, I've just been to so many different countries, like, you know, Australia, China, America, all these great places. Recently in Nigeria, that was fantastic. You know, so I love that part of it. I love going out there and meeting the fans, going all around the country. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, when I come up to Newcastle, met you, and all the friends you make and all the people that you meet and stuff like that. It's amazing, and I think that's been one of my real highlights. One of the nicest parts about it.
And with highs, inevitably come lows. Now, I'm talking about, you know, it was a few years ago, really. I don't think there's much now, but I remember a few years ago, the content really got brought in the spotlight. I remember the Simon Jordan Talksport stuff that you handled brilliantly, I thought, in the studio. You had Gary Neville on the channel, didn't you, after replying back to some trolls? What do you think got AFTV that reaction? Why was it getting the bad press at the time?
Yeah, we still sometimes get bad press, you know what I mean? I mean, I find that sometimes listen, in any business you do, you're going to make mistakes sometimes. You're going to have things happen. I find sometimes with us, it gets amplified, you know? But I feel sometimes there's been a backlash as well, because we're new to the game. We've changed the game. You know what I mean? We've come in and we've done something completely different in a traditional, you know, sport of football. There's always, you know, TV companies and that have been running it their way. And then we sort of come in and we've done it in a different way. And we put fans right at the forefront of what we do. And not everybody's liked that, you know what I mean? There's been, you know, like you did the Simon Jordan one, you said, where, you know, he was highly critical of fans, forgetting that he works on a platform in TalkSport that they claim to be fan-driven, right? And he was claiming, why are these fans allowed to have their, you know, they
low
spout in low IQs. And I thought that was very insulting, you know what I mean? Because, you know, so when I tackled him, that's why I was like tackling it from the forefront. I'm like, well, I can't, you may not agree with what certain fans say, but you know what? A lot of fans don't agree with what you say. You're a very controversial figure, but you're allowed to talk, so why can't they? They go to games, they pay their money, they travel all around the country to watch their football team play. Why can't they have their say? Who are you? Right? And it's a similar thing with Gary Neville. It was like, well, Gary, I respect you, respect the fact that you're a great pundit, but hold on, fans are allowed to have their say. And, it's very, very ironic the other day that I was on one of Gary Neville's shows, The Overlap, where he puts fans at the forefront of that now, you know what I mean? So, you can see some of them, they've come round to our way of doing things. But yeah, listen, it is one of the downsides, I'd say, of, having a big social media platform is all the trolls and, the people that, you get a lot of people who come on who deliberately are just trying to troll you or just deliberately, trying to insult you. And if you don't have a thick skin, sometimes it can be hard. You can't read everything. That's one thing I've learned. Don't read everything, right? Because some of the stuff that's written about you, and sometimes even written about you by the official press and that, is horrible.
Right then, Robbie, I think we'll leave the AFTV studio. Go check out the new one.
Let's go check out DR, yeah. Right, mate, let me show you the DR set. This is the DR studio. This is the studio, which is at the moment set up for, we're doing some tennis filming here.
Oh, nice. So you branched now, it's not just football now, is it, Robbie?
Not just
DR
football.
Sports
DR
isn't just
Sports,
football.
man. So it's like tennis. This is a football set here. It's normally set up for the Premier League stuff, but at the moment it's set up because we're going to be doing the Women's Euros.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
So you're always branching out, there's always new stuff, Robbie. So
always new stuff.
Is this why DR Sports started? Because you wanted to do more than just Arsenal, more than just football, I guess?
Yeah.
That was the creation behind it?
Yeah, so the whole idea of DR Sports is, like you said, is primarily football, but we want to do other sports as well. So we've already done F1. We're doing F1 on it. We do boxing. Tennis is our latest thing that we're doing. We're covering Wimbledon. Yeah, we want to do as many sports as possible, So, and the whole point of this channel is to cover all sports. And, my angle now is that I want to turn both AFTV and DR Sports into like really big trusted broadcasters. So, broadcasting to the world.
And is there anything else in the pipeline going forward? This is the second channel, the second big channel, DR Sports. Little insight in anything in the future? Can we expect more channels?
I think what you can expect is like some spin-off channels to DR. So, for instance, where a sport is so big, like say for instance with F1, and sometimes it may clash with football games and that, we might house that on a separate channel. So I think you will see a lot of separate channels coming out for those, for certain particular sports. But yeah, just...
And this year I've heard that obviously you're covering the Women's Euros this summer, which is in England.
Yep.
I'm hearing that in the winter you're going to be heading to Qatar to create content
Going to Qatar, we're going to be doing the World Cup.
I've got a seat on the plane, by the way. I hope I've got a seat on the plane for that one, mate. I like the Middle East. So,
yeah, we're going to be doing the World Cup in Qatar, which of course is a different one this year because it's right in the middle of the football season. But we're going to do the World Cup in Qatar. And yeah, just be over as many sports as we possibly can, especially football. That's our primary thing. But yeah, on DR here, we cover all football. We have some great shows that we do as well on it. And again, just do it in a different way.
A very popular show on here, and I feel like Expressions at the minute, me and you sitting here, is the best of enemies.
The best of enemies, yeah.
Who's a brilliant Tottenham YouTuber.
Yeah.
The cigars should be somewhere, Robbie.
They're there.
There they are. So do you ever sit back, light up a cigar, and think to yourself, take it all in, what you've achieved and everything you've built here from 10 years ago, interviewing fans outside?
Do you know what? That's one of my problems is I need to do that more. I need to sometimes just take I was thinking about it the other day, take a step back and then just, like you said, light up a cigar and think about all the things I've achieved. But sometimes I'm so busy. I'm just I'm one of these guys that like, everybody be saying, oh, Robbie, what you did there was amazing. Oh, it was brilliant. And I'm thinking about the next thing already. I'm actually like, yeah, that was yesterday, but what about today?
That's true,
and
entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah, I am.
What's next?
I am that guy who's always like, yeah, that was brilliant, fantastic, yeah, tick, lovely, brilliant. But what about today?
Right then, Kenyah, thanks for joining me.
No, that's cool, man. Thanks for having me.
I want to start off.
Yeah.
3 words to describe Robbie.
3 words. Funny, dad, and innovative.
No, 3 words. That's a difficult one, man. We're very close.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 of us. Myself, I'm the oldest. Robbie's second, brother Gary, and then Steve. And although we're all close, because he's closer proximity to me than the other 2, growing up, we tended to do the same things, like the same music, go to the same places, play sport together, you know what I mean? And so over the years, we've just been very close.
Because, I mean, you are a family man. You've got, I think one of your sons is trying to be a professional footballer.
He's trying to be a professional footballer. I cart him all around the place.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how you've got the time in the day, Robbie.
Nor do I.
All these businesses, the family life.
The football training, right? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, game on a Saturday, Sunday. It's mad, you know what I mean? But I really enjoy doing it, actually. So, on the other hand, I think it's a nice thing because it gets me out and about doing something that's not this. So that's nice, even though it's him playing. But I've been supporting him doing that for years now. And then I've got 2 other daughters. One of my daughters works for me. Kenyah, you know what I mean, she graduated from uni last year, and she's working for us in the social media team and doing really, really well, you know. So hopefully, you know, when I sit down and put the slippers on and that, you know what I mean, they can take it, they can take it all over, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Nice. And what's he like as a dad?
He's very supportive dad, very funny, you know, just supports you really through a lot of stuff. And, you know, I think he's kind of like very much a typical dad, like, you know, normal dad jokes and, you know, a bit annoying, but, you know, he's there for you and stuff like that. So he's pretty cool.
What was it like growing up with Robbie in a household? What did you get up to?
Well, it's quite a competitive household, but although it was competitive, it never really got like into anything like too deep, you know what I mean? You'd fall out, you'd have your little rows and stuff as you do, but then you'd soon make up. I think one of the things that helped in that regard is that we're all keen sports lovers. So like in the winter, you play football, in the summer you play cricket and tennis and stuff, you know what I mean? So we was always, interacting with each other on those levels. So,
But I'm just trying to build something, man. I'm trying to build something that I can look back in, you know, 10 years time and say, wow, look what we built, you know?
Well, you're on your way.
It's amazing.
But do you wish you had a bit more of like a work-life balance? Or you strike me as a workaholic anyway.
Yeah,
so
I'm a bit of a workaholic. I need to work a bit more on work-life balance. Like for instance, I ain't had a holiday yet this year. I've been away, but I don't class when I go away as being on holiday because
still filming,
you're still working, you're still filming. So, and then I'm meant to have gone on holiday in June, and then I just had too much on. So I do need to work.
Your holiday, you had that much on.
I've had too much on. I have not been able to go. So I'm thinking I might try and go somewhere with a family.
Because, I mean, everyone's seen Robbie on camera, of course.
Yeah.
What's he like off camera? What's he like at home on maybe a rare day off if he gets one?
I think at home, like, I think what you guys kind of see of him on camera, he's kind of like that at home, but more so, like, his personality is much stronger. Like, he's very, like, like, you know, you see him on streams and he has his little jokes and he's a bit of a wind-up. He's like that at home, but he's also, like, sometimes can be very relaxed and just, you know, yeah, he's just, he's a spirit of, I don't know, just madness. Yeah.
What's he? Because obviously you see him at home, but you see him at work as well. Because you're working with him now as well, aren't you? So what's he like in the office? It's
a nice balance because I feel like at home it's very like obviously very laid back because obviously he's my dad, so it's very laid back, very like familial type of relationship. Then when we're at work, we still have that type of banter, but like he's also my boss. Like he still can be like, actually, you're supposed to be doing this, or you need to do that. So I think it's a good balance, and like it's like a boss-dad relationship. It's really weird to explain, but yeah.
Back when you were growing up, then, what was Robbie Lyle like? What did he want to do with his life?
Do you know what? Robbie Lyle, growing up, I was always been a bit of an entrepreneur. So I remember my mum always used to be cussing me and saying, what is it with you? You're always trying this and trying that and
Get a normal job, Robbie.
yeah. I had normal jobs, but even if I had a normal job, I'd be trying stuff. I was heavily involved in music. So I was in the music industry, and I used to be what they called back in the day, like a reggae MC. And I was quite successful at it for a time. You know what I mean? I made a tune called Proud to be Black that went to #1 in the UK reggae charts. And I used to tour around Europe. I did a couple of shows in Jamaica, America, and stuff like that. Wow. So that was when I was in my early 20s. And that, in my teens and into my early 20s. And that went really, really well. But even when I was doing that, I'd be on a show and I'd be working out in my head. I'd be like, you know what, this promoter is paying me like a couple £100 to be on this show. For like 1,000 people here. They all paid like £6 each. Why couldn't I do something like this myself? Why am I having to be on this show? Why don't I keep some of my own events? So then I started to keep a lot of events, and I got involved in promoting at nightclubs and stuff like that. So I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never really been that person who would just go and collect a wage. I'm always looking to try and build something. So the early Robbie Lyle was heavily involved in music. And then, when I started to come drift out of music now, I was working again full time, and then sort of trained myself to become a surveyor. And then I was working as a surveyor and I was enjoying it. The job was good, but I still wanted to do something for myself. You know what I mean? I was just still like.
When you got into it, then was there a moment when Robbie turned around and said, "Hey, look, bro, I'm thinking about starting this YouTube channel thing. I was thinking about interview the Arsenal fans." And
well, you know what it is, right? My brother's always been quite entrepreneurial, right? He's always had that entrepreneurial spirit, so he's always had these ideas to do different things. And I don't know if you know, but he'd been an artist. In terms of making music, DJ, ran a couple of clubs, owned a club. And I remember one day he was telling me about starting up a YouTube channel. And I never, not that I was demeaning or belittling it, I never really took it too seriously, because at the time, YouTube was still very young, you know what I mean? So, yeah, he told me about it. I thought, yeah, sounds like a good idea. And he's like, I'm thinking of doing this. And I was like, yeah, go for it. And then, in time, it's just grown exponentially, and we are where we are.
I want to know what your family's reaction was when you came away from a day on the building site or whatever it was you were doing and said, "Do you know what it is? I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to get a camera, I'm going to interview the fans." What was their reaction when you said?
Yeah, the reaction was like, "Well, I hope you're not doing that all, just that."
Oh, you haven't quit your job?
Yeah, which I didn't. I didn't quit my job. I didn't quit my job until about nearly 4 years in.
All right.
So I was still working full time and doing this. I'll tell you, it was tough because, but what helped it was I was working as a surveyor, as a building surveyor, and I used to work, at that particular time, I was working for a housing association. So I used to look after a load of their properties. So I'd have to go out and do lots of inspections, and I used to work on a lot of their projects, like, for instance, big window replacement projects or stuff like that. I used to look after that. So I had to be out a lot on site, checking things and things like that, which was great for me because what I do is then I put like an Arsenal top, because I used to wear a suit to work. So in the back now, I'd have like an Arsenal shirt and a little camera set up and stuff like that, my little laptop. So, for instance, like now when it's transfer season, if there's a bit of break, I'm driving, I'm listening to my car, the radio, there's a bit of breaking news around a player being signed, I just pull over, take my shirt and tie off, put on my Arsenal top and then do a video.
Wow.
Breaking news, Arsenal have just signed such and such and such and such and such. Do that, then take the shirt off, put my suit back on and go back to work.
Your mind must be like on the go 100%. Because it's like,
it was, man.
Can you remember what it was like when Robbie first said that he was going to start a YouTube channel, or what it was like when you were growing up? What was your reaction?
Oh my God. I literally remember my dad's first ever video. I remember I was literally sat in my living room. My dad came in one day he literally I was watching EastEnders, this is when I was obsessed with EastEnders. He came in, turned off the TV, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm filming something. And I was like, what are you filming? I'm thinking my dad, who doesn't even have like a smartphone, is telling me that he's gonna film something. Like, what is that? And then he just sat down, closed all the blinds, and he just started filming this thing about Arsenal. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm starting this channel. He's like, I just want to follow Arsenal around and talk about it. And yeah, from that moment on, like, I remember also thinking like, oh, this is a one-off thing. And that weekend, he was like, oh, I'm off to the game. And I was like, oh, okay. But then it became every weekend thing. I was like, oh, every weekend my dad's not, he's off at football doing this. But yeah, like, it's ever since then, like, I guess he's been dedicated from day one. But yeah, I remember exactly how it started. It's mad.
So when you had that bold idea to start this whole fan TV revolution, I want to know if someone else out there has got an idea, what would the advice be to them if they wanted to maybe start the YouTube channel or start something completely new, completely different? What would someone who's done it, been there, achieved it, what would you say to them?
Yeah, be brave. Be brave, because sometimes it's a big step, you know? Be brave and go for it. And I know it sounds easy to say that. You know, I know people will be like, go for it. And you'd be like, well, yeah, go. If it's easy to say that, but literally, that's what I did. I didn't have any experience in filming. I didn't have no big amount of funds. I funded it just off of my job. I didn't have really and truly, I didn't have it really worked out properly at the start. I just had the idea. So I'm like, you know what? If you've got the idea and you're driven to do it, then you almost start to see things start to fall into place, because you're so determined to make it work that things start to fall into place. So with me, for instance, it was like, you know what? I don't know how to film and I don't know how to edit, but I do know how to come up with great ideas. I do have a great idea for this, and I do know Arsenal inside out, because my football club, I've followed them week in, week out for years. So I know I can do that part, and I know I want to do this channel. So you're driven to do that, and then because you want that to work, you go out and find someone who can edit. You go out and find someone who can film. It's almost like you draw that towards you. So yeah, and then you got to be brave, you know what I mean? Because you'll have people, sometimes it's your own friends, and they're around you and they're like, oh, Robbie, man, I don't know, man. Are you sure about that? That ain't gonna work. And sometimes they're saying it for your own good. Well, they think they're saying it for your own good, but they're not. They can actually, a lot of people end up not following their dreams because of those influences. So people be saying to you, oh, Robbie, you know, you're never gonna make it as, you know, you're never gonna be able, because you won't be able to compete with none of, you know, your Skies and BTs, and you never compete. And then you're listening to them, but then you're thinking to yourself, well, what do they know? They don't work in the media industry. They know nothing about filming. They don't know. So don't listen to them. You just got to be driven, and just be brave, man. You've got to be brave. You know what I mean? Don't be scared. You know, because you're gonna make mistakes. You know, and the mistakes, you know, as long as you learn from them, that's what helps you to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, so be brave, man. Because I first come into this thing, I'll tell you, I had to be, because even when I go up to people and say to them who were doing YouTube, and I'll be like, how do you make money off of it? Nobody would explain. I could never figure out why, but nobody would explain, oh yeah, well, yeah, because you sort of make it off ads. Yeah, but how? What do you do? But nobody wants to tell you stuff. You know, so a lot of stuff I had to just like trial and error and find out for myself, you know? But yeah, just be brave, man. Go for it. Yeah. And obviously, on top of that, you've got to be prepared to put the work in.
Pretty brilliant. I want to finish off on a little personal story of mine, right? A true story. So a few years ago, I was scrolling through Facebook, seen this viral video shared by like Sport Bible or something like that. It was you and Troops, fan cam.
Right.
I was like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before. So it was brilliant. I was hooked. I started watching every video every weekend, even though I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was training to be a teacher at the time. Just left uni, trained to be a teacher. I knew that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'm going to start doing that for Newcastle United. And a few years later, you choose my job. It's opened up many doors for me, like DR Sports, like Sky Sports.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, mate, for inspiring me.
No, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. I remember when we met. Remember we met up in
4 years ago or something.
That was at a game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a game up in Newcastle, and you were saying to me, "Oh, you started you started a channel and that. I was like, yeah, I
I
shot
had
for
about
Newcastle. I got
100
brilliant.
subscribers at the time, Robbie. 100
How many?
subscribers at 100. And I was
Wow.
like, wow, I've got 100 subscribers, I've got 100 views and all that. And then I just met you, and then it went up, and then back then when that used to work.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, man, it's just...
All right, so I
off and
remember when I did my first video, right, and we got like 100 views. And we was
Best
like
thing ever.
high-fiving each other. 100 people have watched this. And then the other landmark I always remember is when we got to 60,000 subs. I always remember that, right? 60,000 subscribers, right? Because I was like, I turned around to Towers, who used to work with me at the time. I said, Towers, do you realise, yeah, the same amount of people that subscribe to us, if you put them all together, they could fit in the Emirates Stadium. I was like, wow, that's incredible, you know what I mean? So it's a journey, isn't it? It's a journey, and yeah, I'm glad that that's you know, see them sort of things like what you just said there. That's what makes this thing worth it, you know what I mean? When you know, when people say that you're kind of inspiring them as well, because I'm always as well, like, for me, it's not just about me. I'm trying to change this industry and say to people that, you know, because this football sports industry for a long time has just been a closed shop. And there's so much brilliant talent out there. And I'm saying to everybody now, with modern technology and the way things are, you can do your thing. You can do your thing and you can come through. So
create something from nothing.
Yeah. It's great what you've done, man. It's great.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much
Brilliant.
for your time, Robbie.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.